We're going to address the limbic system in this section, letter F of your outline. So the limbic system is going to be various structures of the brain working together. So you can see all the components that are outlined in a different color are part of the limbic system. So this is going to be the region of the brain or regions of the brain that work together to create emotions. Your limbic system you can think as almost like your gut feeling and your emotional responses to things. So I have a range of emotions for you in the outline: rage, pain, anger, fear, sorrow, sexual feelings, affection. The pleasure center is here. So addiction also lies in this limbic system. Finding pleasure from what you're addicted to, right? That's what makes it so addicting, is that this limbic system is giving you a lot of pleasure in activities that you enjoy, and so that pleasure center is also in the limbic system. All right, so let's talk about I'm only going to have you guys memorize 4 pieces of the limbic system. So let's go ahead and look closer. And what I have for you, number 1, is the amygdala. All right, so in your book, it's called the amygdaloid body, but it's oftentimes referred to as amygdala. This amygdala and the hippocampus, these are both in the temporal lobe, so it's deep in the temporal lobe of your brain. The amygdala is a nucleus, right? So remember, the word nucleus means a collection of neurons that have the same job, that processes fear and your fight or flight or sympathetic response to fear. It detects menacing facial expressions, and it has other jobs besides your fear response. It does have memory, role in encoding memory. It has other emotions involved in it. But let's talk about this just for a second. So I want you to look at the olfactory tract. All right, so number 4. This is your sense of smell. So remember when we talked about the thalamus, and I said all the sensors of the body are going to relay in the thalamus except for smell. And this is the reason why. Your smell comes straight in. The fibers of your sense of smell come directly into your limbic system, your emotional response, which is kind of a funny thing, but we evolved this way because before language, our most sort of oldest animals, right, they rely on their sense of smell, and the animals that we descended from, to navigate the world around them. So what does a plant smell like? If you were to eat a plant with a specific kind of smell, then it's going to be tied directly with your emotional memory of that smell. So let's say that you have a plant that is very distinct, pungent smell. You eat it, you get violently ill. Just like if you were to get food poisoning from Thai food, right? The next time you smell Thai food, or the next time you smell that pungent plant, you're going to have an emotional disgust, right? You're going to have a memory that's tied very, very tightly to an emotion. And that is going to help this organism stay away from something that made them sick. And conversely, we can think about pleasure, right? So if something smells delicious, a ripe berry, you eat it, it's delicious, it gives you energy, and next time you smell it, you're going to have that pleasure associated with that smell. So you're going to seek out, right, and digest those berries, and it helps you survive. So that is the reason why that our sense of smell is tied in directly to our memory and our emotional responses and our fear, right? Because really, fear is it's a survivorship response. It's an emotion that keeps you safe, because if you're fearful, you're not going to do very risky things. You're not going to confront something that you're scared of, right? You might run away from it or hide from a larger animal, or any kind of threat. So that's why the sense of smell is tied into our limbic system. All right, so I just want to show you one more thing. This is how everything sort of tied together with the amygdala, right? So you see something, your vision comes into the thalamus. The thalamus will then relay that information to the occipital lobe, which is our visual cortex. Then other fibers will associate. Remember, those association areas will come in and talk to the amygdala, right? Should we be scared of what we're looking at? Is this a menacing face? Is this something that we should respond in a fight or flight way? The information coming from the thalamus, our memory that's stored here, also comes in. So there's a lot of work that your brain is constantly doing that we're not conscious of, right? So to keep us safe and to keep us alive for a very long time. All right, let's look at number 2, which is the hippocampus. So the hippocampus is a long structure like this, and it also ties into our hypothalamus. Remember, here's our thalamus, here's our hypothalamus, and this is our area where we have memory. So it helps to take our short-term memory, put it into long-term memory, and one of the things about Alzheimer's disease, right? Alzheimer's disease is this degradation of short-term memory. This is one of the reasons, this is one of the areas that is harmed or degraded first with Alzheimer's is the hippocampus. So this has a large role in maintaining, short-term memory and also in consolidating long-term memory. All right, or retrieving memory as well. The hippocampus cannot be seen on your models, and it's also not seen in your diagram. Neither is the amygdala, so those two are not shown in the just sort of a mid-sagittal section because it's deep within the temporal lobe. You would have to open up the temporal lobe to see them. Our last one, the fornix, is this yellow structure here. So the fornix is just a band of tissue that connects your hippocampus in with your thalamus and hypothalamus. So you can see the fibers, how they are interacting with your hypothalamic nuclei, and they wrap around for that memory in the hippocampus. So it's just a connection, okay? The only part of this that you can see in the diagrams or in the, let me just go back up to your diagram here, right, is the fornix. So this band of tissue here, I mentioned before, that's the fornix. So that's part of your limbic system. That's coming from, so this is a little piece of your temporal lobe on the other side. It's coming in from the temporal lobe and reaching so that it can communicate with the hypothalamus and thalamus. All right, so that is it with your, let me see if I have anything else to mention in the, nope. All right, so we're going to, well, why don't we go ahead and finish up these questions. So region of decussation of the pyramids, if you've gone in order, we've talked about this already, so you can answer that one. Number 5. Number 6. And then we'll start with this in another lecture.